Good afternoon, everyone. It's Coach Craig Rowe from Swoosh here. I wanted to do a live stream this afternoon. I've just finished my own trial process for a team and realise there's a lot of people trialling at the moment for BQJBC. So I thought this afternoon what I might do is give a little bit of a rundown of some of the things that I actually look for when I select. I've actually helped select a number of teams over the years, being involved 28 years. Obviously that means I've coached a lot of teams. I help with state selections and of the senior representative teams and things like that. So what I want to do is just give you a few ideas. If you're looking to actually trial or have someone that is trialing for a team for BQJBC, then this might be a little bit of information for them that might give them a bit of give their mind a little bit of ease ahead of trialing, because I know a lot of people actually get nervous when they're looking to trial ahead of representative season. So one of the things that I would encourage people to do if they're trialing is being a good listener. So that would be point number one. I would suggest that players actually listen to what the coaches are actually wanting, and that could be something that's very simple. A lot of people actually don't always hear or follow the instructions coaches want. So for example, if I was asking players to do a normal crossover in a particular drill and a player comes down the floor and does it through the legs or behind the back or something like that, I'm probably going to question whether that person was listening and also whether I can trust them in the dying seconds of a game to actually do what they were actually asked. So often I don't, when I'm running a drill, expect someone to give me more than what was asked. It's different in a playing situation, but in a drill, if I'm being specific about something, I'm looking to see if they're listening. So the first thing or first suggestion would be good listeners. Be a good listener. Your coaches are going to want to know that in the dying seconds of the game, when there's a timeout and they're going to set up a play and want you to take the game-winning shot or set a screen, they're going to want to know that you can actually do that. If you don't do that in training when you ask or given a simple instruction, there's every chance that those coaches are going to question how good you're going to be in the dying seconds of a game. So that's point number one. Be a good listener when you trial. The second one, and this one I never seem to understand with a lot of players, is they don't communicate. Interestingly, we can all look at our varying skills on the court, dribbling, shooting, defense, things like that. But one thing we can all do is open our mouths and speak. So what I find really interesting about that is that we want our athletes to speak. In every trial I've ever attended, at every level, we're encouraging players to talk. And it's often the communicators, the best communicators, that stand out. So my second point to players trialling ahead of BQJBC this season would be to actually use your voice. So something I say to my athletes is call what you see. So there's no rights or wrongs there. And that's one of the things that I would recommend players do. So on defensive end, if you see someone cutting, shout back door or guy cutting left or screen right, screen left. Every coach is going to want players, particularly on the defensive end, that communicate to their teammates. And the same on the offensive end. So point number two, if you're trialing for BQJBC or rep, make sure that you're a good communicator and you're talking to your teammates. Sometimes it can even be just grabbing a group of players in a huddle when there's a break and talking about things. Coaches identify the little things that separate you from everyone else. So one of the things that we say there is it's what you do over and above what everyone else does that actually makes you a better player. So think about that when you go into a trial situation. What can you offer that no one else in that trial is actually offering? So that's point number two, be a good communicator. Number three, this one never ceases to amaze me. Sorry, someone's Kobe Freeman over in WA. Good to see you there, Cobes. Can't stay and watch. But look, number three is take the lead. So this is an example of most trials I ever attend, you often get a coach who will ask someone to do a warm-up. That's often just a test to see who the leaders are in a group. So if you want to stand out from others, one of the first things you can do is you can actually put your hand up and say, I'll do that. I'll be the person that actually runs or does the warm up. Make sure you take that opportunity to do a warm up. You can prepare for that. You can actually plan to do a warm up. That's the amazing thing about it. Not all coaches take that approach, but an example is at a state trial recently. There was players were asked. There's probably 40 players were asked, would someone do a warm up? And they all just stood there and stared. And then one player stood up in a strong voice and said, "I'll do it, coach," and then got them all into a warm up. You can guarantee what every coach there at selection did is put a mark against that guy's name before the training had even started, because he made himself stand out straight away. So if you get the opportunity to be a leader, take that role. And it's not uncommon that you might be asked to start a warm up. So be prepared. That's something you can actually prepare for in your trials. The next thing I would suggest is give 100% effort. Don't complain and be a good teammate. So those things are absolutely important when you're trialing for BQJBC. So think about what you can offer that other players aren't. That's important. Give 100% at what you do best. And if a coach says come off the floor, don't take it personally. Sometimes coaches just want to see what everyone does, so they've got to get players in and out. And sometimes they'll also throw you into a situation of adversity to see how you react. So I've had scenarios where I've gone to sub players out at trials and they've argued that they've only just got on, and or teammates have tried, or other trialing athletes have tried to get on the floor, and that person's barked at them, said, "No, I'm not coming off, I just got on." So sometimes you can step off, deal with that situation a little bit differently and say, "Coach, I only just went on the floor." But don't bark and don't show an ugly side or a green-eyed monster, because that's going to stand out, because then that makes the coach question what's going to happen in a game situation when you're subbed. Sometimes you're subbed in and subbed out very quickly in a game, so they want to see if that green-eyed monster actually rears itself. So be aware of that one as well. Now, tip number five for me, if you're trialing, is ask questions. It's not a weakness to be someone who's not sure of something. Often my experience is if I haven't explained something correctly, you're probably not the only one who's going to want to know what I want. So if you don't know, put your hand up and say, "Coach, don't understand." And there's probably others, you're probably doing them a favour, because coaches aren't always the best communicators neither. We don't always get it right. So sometimes if you're not sure, other times just say, "Coach, I'm not sure, can I step off and watch?" or ask for an explanation. The reason that's important is because most coaches do want players that have a growth mindset. So they actually want coaches want players who want to learn. So if you're not asking questions, then that makes us wonder whether or not you're really engaged or whether you actually want to learn. So if you're not sure of something, it's better to actually ask a question than walk blindly through something, because it's probably going to make you look bad at trials. So it's not really recommended. There's another thing too. Athletes often tell me before trials that they're relatively nervous. So I understand the process that people would be nervous before a rep trial. What I would suggest you do there is actually focus on your performance. A lot of people worry about making a particular team or the other players and things like that. The truth is you can't control any of that. So what you want to do is you actually want to focus on your performance. So what I mean by that is make sure that if you're going to run a point guard role, that you do all the things that would be required of that role. That you would actually have a loud voice, you would call plays, you would provide leadership to your team on the floor. If you're looking at defense, or the coach's focus is on defense, be a tough defender and focus on the process, focus on what's expected within each drill. Don't worry about whether you make the first team or what you actually do. When you arrive, focus on what you're asked to do and the process, and the rest should take care of itself. Don't be worried ahead of going into trials whether you'll make the top team or whether Joe blows better than you or whatever. At the end of the day, the coach is actually looking at performance. So the other and last idea that I would have, if you're looking to trial in a rep program or something like that, would actually be to give the coach something that isn't out on the floor at the time. So when you look across the floor in the group that you're trialing with, look at what they might be lacking. So if they need a rebounder, or they don't seem to be a team that rebounds, go be that person. Go be that guy that it becomes a rebounder. Or they might need someone that can really guard the ball, and you know you're really good at defense. So be that guy. Find what the team needs in your trial and go and be that person, because that's what will make you stand out at the trial. So they're the core tips that I'd recommend. If you're looking to trial, they're the things I'd suggest you do. So be a good listener, be a great communicator, both on defense and offense. Take the lead if given the opportunity, so you stand out as a leader. Give 100% effort. Don't complain, and be a good teammate. Make sure you're a good teammate. That's number 4. Number 5 is ask questions. All those components on top of your skills should have you or help you stand out against a lot of the others, because a lot of people are nervous going into trials, and you may well be, but remember that focusing on the process as opposed to whether you make the first team or whether someone else is better than you, focus on what you can do and focus on your performance, and you should do well. So if you're looking to trial for rep, good luck with that. I hope those points and tips actually help you in your trials if you're coming up to trials, and good luck with your season. I wish you well, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment on the video. I'll leave it up on my Facebook page for a little while, and I'm happy to answer any comments later. And if you've got any questions or you're nervous, you can even private message me. I'm happy to answer private messages. I get quite a few from people all over the place all the time, and I'm more than happy to respond if you've got any questions or need any help. So thanks for your time and listening this afternoon. Those that popped in, we had a couple of viewers down there. The video will stay up for a little while. Enjoy your afternoon, and good luck with your trials if you're looking at trialing.